what's happening around the world
and what's happening here at home. A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I am Hashini Patirana.
And I'm Sandru Ferdinando. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
German laboratory report confirms that human immunoglobulin imported under Rambukala's direction contained harmful bacteria. Cancer drug rituximab was found to be nothing more than saline solution. Former Minister Dumenda remanded again. His father's former security claims that gold-colored gun was never with them. CID launches probe into dairy cattle deal. Investigation into 26 billion rupee housing ministry corruption under Yahapalana rule. New president of the Court of Appeal takes oath. Ruan and Israel missile exchange escalates.
In a top story for tonight, it was revealed in court that a batch of human immunoglobulin, a therapeutic antibody drug allegedly imported under the supervision of former Health Minister Keli Rambukala and 12 other accused individuals, contained bacterial contaminated water harmful to the human body. This revelation was made by Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girigama, who presented the findings of an international laboratory investigation into the drug's composition during the court proceedings.
A WHO-accredited German laboratory has confirmed that two controversial drugs, human immunoglobulin and rituximab, previously distributed in Sri Lanka's public health system, were substandard and dangerous, containing no medicinal properties. According to Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama, who presented the findings to the Maligakanda Magistrates Court, the human immunoglobulin vials contained bacterial contaminated water harmful to human health, while the cancer drug rituximab was found to contain only saline solution with no active components capable of treating cancer.
The first suspect, Sudha Janaka Fernando, owner of the pharmaceutical supply company, distributed drugs to Sri Lanka's hospital system that, according to laboratory analysis, had no medicinal value whatsoever. Specifically, the human immunoglobulin drug was found to contain bacterial contaminated water. Meanwhile, the cancer drug rituximab lacked the essential protein components required to treat cancer and consisted only of sodium chloride, plain saline solution. Based on a cabinet paper submitted by the eighth suspect, former Health Minister Keli Rambukala, the government of Sri Lanka spent 144.74 million rupees to procure what amounted to toxic bacterial water and ordinary saline under the guise of medication.
Magistrate Lochana Bevikrama questioned whether the raw materials used in manufacturing were imported from India. Deputy Solicitor General Girihagama confirmed that customs records showed the materials were imported under a classification code typically used for chemical birth control agents, not therapeutic drugs.
Your Honour, I'm about to reveal something that could deeply disturb the conscience of the court. The raw materials imported by the first suspect for pharmaceutical production were classified under Customs Code 3006-6000. Investigating officers examined what type of drugs are typically imported under this classification. According to officials from both the Department of Customs, this code is designated for chemical birth control substances. Your Honour, it is evident that these suspects have deliberately contributed to a grave and unlawful act.
Meanwhile, this batch of pharmaceuticals was procured as an emergency purchase based on cabinet approval granted through a cabinet memorandum. In connection with this, the Criminal Investigation Department recently recorded a statement from former President Ranil Singha. Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama informed the court that according to the former president's statement, full responsibility for the memorandum lies with the subject minister. Additionally, investigators have compiled a report on phone conversations between the first suspect and other individuals involved. This report reveals the nature of their relationship and further clarifies their connection as presented to the court. Regarding the transaction involving substandard pharmaceuticals, the Deputy Solicitor General informed the Magistrates Court that steps have already been taken to file indictments before the Permanent High Court trial at bar. The case is scheduled to be recalled before the Magistrates Court on the 16th of July.
Former Minister Keli Rambukala, along with his wife and daughter, were held remand custody after failing to meet bail conditions. However, earlier today, the Colombo Magistrates Court issued an order for their release, contingent upon the successful completion of all bail requirements. In connection with an ongoing investigation under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali Jayatunga ordered the release on bail of two daughters of former Minister Keli Rambukala and his son-in-law. The suspects Chamitri Jainika Rambukala, Amalinayanika Rambukala and her husband Isuru Bandara were presented before the court this afternoon following their arrest by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Appearing on behalf of the Commission, officials informed the court that the investigation was initiated based on intelligence provided by the Financial Intelligence Unit of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The unit had flagged suspicious banking activity involving members of Rambukala's family. According to the prosecution, 16 fixed deposit accounts and 5 life insurance policies belonging to the suspects have been frozen under a High Court order. The total value of these assets exceeds 97 million rupees. The case is scheduled to be recalled on the 19th of October. The investigation into the discovery of a gold-plated T-56 assault rifle at a luxury apartment complex in Vellavatta has taken a new turn as the Chief Security Officer of former Senior Minister Bertie Premalal Disanayake has denied any connection to the weapon. During proceedings at the Mount Lavinia Magistrates Court, investigators revealed that the firearm was not issued from the Central Police Armory, raising further questions about its origin. The case also involves former Minister Duminda Disanayake, who was presented in court today. Officers from the Terrorist Investigation Division submitted a consolidated report to Magistrate Chaturika De Silva detailing the latest findings. The weapon was initially discovered at the entrance of a high-end residential complex in the Havelock Vellavatta area where 2 women were arrested. Subsequently, Disanayake and a cook under his command were also taken into custody. Police also recovered 2 airline tickets from the bag containing the firearm. However, during questioning, the individuals named on the tickets claimed to have no knowledge of the weapon or the travel documents. The magistrate ordered that Duminda Disanayake and 3 other suspects be remanded until the 26th of June, while also granting permission to record formal statement from Disanayake and his cook.
The CID has launched a high-profile probe into the importation of dairy cattle from Australia between 2012 and 2017.
Sri Lanka's Criminal Investigation Department has launched a comprehensive investigation into the importation of dairy cattle from Australia between 2012 and 2017 amid concerns over financial irregularities and procedural lapses. As part of the inquiry, the CID has summoned former Ministry Secretary Rambukala to provide a statement. Although she was scheduled to appear today, she has requested an extension until Monday. Renuka Ekanayake is notably the wife of former Presidential Secretary Saman Ekanayake. A debate took place in Parliament regarding the findings of a financial audit investigation into the controversial dairy cattle import project.
Under
the second phase of the project, approximately 4,500 dairy cows were imported. The operation was carried out by an Australian company named Vellard Rural Exports. Preparations for the third phase began as early as 2014. with plans to import 20,000 dairy cows in 2 stages. By the end of 2017, 5,018 cows had been imported as part of the first stage. The second stage aimed to bring in an additional 15,000 cows, and initial steps had already been taken to execute this. The total estimated cost of this project exceeded $8 million. Of this, 20%, around $1.1 million or 1.7496 billion rupees, was paid upfront to the company. money. However, this payment was made without securing any performance guarantees. In the end, not a single cow from the planned 15,000 was imported. The entire process failed, resulting in a total financial loss of approximately 2.13 billion rupees.
President's Counsel Nalin Rohantha Abe Surya was sworn in as the President of the Court of Appeal.
President's Counsel Nalin Rohantha Abe Surya was sworn in today as the President of the Court of Appeal. The oath was administered before President Anurukumara Dissanayake at the Presidential Secretariat. Abe Surya, a senior additional Solicitor General at the Attorney General's Department, previously served as the head of its criminal division. Joining him in the Court of Appeal are High Court judges Don Francis Hathurasinghe Gunawardena and Aditya Patabandige, who also took their oaths before the President.
Deputy Minister T.B. Sarat has revealed that a staggering 26 billion rupees in corruption is believed to have occurred through projects carried out under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development between 2015 and 2019. Now, the Deputy Minister said that ministry officials have been instructed to urgently compile and submit a comprehensive report detailing the alleged financial misconduct.
According to a report presented by officials from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, 30 billion rupees was issued on credit between 2015 and 2019. However, only 4 billion rupees has been recovered to date. The disbursement of the remaining 26 billion rupees was hindered due to widespread corruption, with large portions reportedly distributed among associates of the then government. We have instructed the ministry officials to urgently compile and submit a comprehensive report on this matter.
News First with the people.
Deputy Minister of Tourism Ruan Ranasingha has emphasized the significance of BRICS membership for Sri Lanka's growth trajectory, particularly in the context of expanding trade and tourism. He made these comments in an interview with Russia Today.
Sri Lanka is, following a non-aligned foreign policy right throughout our history, and BRICS is something we believe very important for us as a growing nation, particularly in economic conditions. So we have submitted actually the application even. Now I think it has been freezed at the moment, but we are looking ahead to get the membership, which will be very important for us expanding our cooperation and the relationships, particularly focusing on economic opportunities for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is one of the strategically located destination in the South Indian Ocean. We have a lot of free trade agreements, treaties signed with a lot of nations, and even European Union. We are enjoying these GSP plus tax concessions, as well as we have free trade agreements with India, which is entitled for 7,000 plus products. So all these opportunities will be there once we sign and enter into this BRICS agreement, so all the members can enjoy such benefits based in Sri Lanka. It has been famous for tourists for centuries, especially during last couple of years. It has becoming very famous among Russian tourists, particularly our beaches, especially the south coast. And this arrival has boosted a lot of opportunities for Sri Lankans, as well as we have monitored some of the Russian colleagues. They also have started some businesses and enterprises related to tourism there. But I also need to clear a point that, there is this myth that Sri Lanka is a seasonal destination, which is not. Sri Lanka is a tropical island, which is an year-round destination. Right throughout the year, tourists can visit. So our hill country, tea gardens, our national parks, whale watching and dolphin watching, so much to do. So I think these are some of the reasons, and on top of all these things, friendly and hospitable people in Sri Lanka is loved by Russian tourists.
Moving on to news overseas, the Iran-Israel conflict has now been going on for almost a week. It started when Israel launched missiles at Iran last Friday, and there's been daily exchanges of fire since then. According to the Washington, D.C.-based group of human rights activists, around 600 people have been killed in Iran by Israel's attacks. The Israeli military says Iran has launched 450 ballistic missiles and hundreds of drones since Friday, killing 24 people in Israel. Here's the latest with Newsfirst's Chalani Ratnavira.
The situation in Israel and Iran has been escalating since last Friday. Israel was hit by a new wave of Iranian missiles today, with a major hospital in the south sustaining extensive damage, according to officials. Iran says the target of the strike was a nearby technology park it claims was used by the Israeli military. Israel attacked Iran's Arak nuclear facility near the center of the country with no major damage reported. A hospital in the Israeli town of Beersheba has been hit by an Iranian missile on the 7th day of the conflict between the two countries. Iran said the strike had targeted a military site close to the hospital, not the facility itself. At least 89 people were injured in the overnight attacks, which hit locations across Israel, according to the Israel's emergency service, MDA. The Israeli military confirmed that its fighter jets struck dozens of military targets in Iran overnight, including the inactive Arak nuclear facility, in what it said was an attempt to prevent its potential use for nuclear weapons development. Chinese leader Xi Jinping has called on major powers to help de-escalate the Iran conflict during a phone call with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in a thinly veiled message to President Trump as he weighs a US involvement. The two condemned Israel's actions against Iran during the call with Putin, again offering to mediate. Without naming the US, Xi said, quote, "The international community, especially major powers that have a special influence on the parties to the conflict, should make efforts to promote the cooling of the situation, not the opposite," end quote. She said there should be an immediate truce, urging both sides, but especially Israel, to end hostilities. The Kremlin said both leaders believe there is no military solution to the conflict or to Iran's nuclear program, as they must be achieved exclusively through political and diplomatic means. Both sides agreed to maintain close contact between their diplomatic and security services in the coming days. Donald Trump has approved plans to attack Iran, but has not made a final decision on whether to strike the country. A senior intelligence source told CBS that the US president held off from initiating strikes in case Iran agreed to abandon its nuclear program. Trump is reportedly considering a US strike on Fordo, an underground uranium enrichment facility in Iran. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on Wednesday rejected Trump's demand for unconditional surrender, as the US president said his patience had run out. On Wednesday, Trump said, quote, "I may do it, I may not do it," end quote, when asked a question about US involvement in Iran. Khamenei rebuked Trump in Wednesday's recorded speech, saying that any US military intervention would be costly, and added, "The Iranian nation will not surrender." It was Khamenei's first appearance since Israel launched what it described as preemptive strikes on Friday. Trump brushed off the rejection, saying good luck, but again declined to disclose his plans. He said, quote, "I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do," end quote. The news of Trump backing strike plans was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. Iran's mission to the United Nations mocked Trump in posts on X. Quote, "Iran does not negotiate under duress, shall not accept peace under duress, and certainly not with a has-been warmonger clinging to relevance." A Sri Lankan caregiver who was with her patient at the Beersheba Soreka Hospital in Tel Aviv, Israel, was injured in an Iranian missile attack near the hospital today. The Sri Lankan ambassador in Israel said that she is receiving treatment at the hospital and that he will be dispatching an embassy team to help the matter soon.
In a remarkable display of precision, courage and coordination, the Sri Lanka Air Force Aviation Unit operating under the United Nations mandate in Brea in the Central African Republic successfully completed a high-risk casualty evacuation mission.
The operation was conducted in the volatile region of Zemio, where 3 UN personnel were critically wounded in combat. The mission was carried out using an Mi-17 helicopter with Wing Commander Ishan Tibbotumunwe serving as the mission commander and pilot, supported by Wing Commander Nadun Denetti as co-pilot. The aircrew included Flight Sergeant Chandana AMG, Sergeant Pereira GGPK, Corporal Veera Singha KPS and Corporal Rodrigo DVMP. The extraction site in Zemio posed significant operational challenges. The crew faced extreme dust conditions, a rapidly evolving tactical threat and the need for precision landing in a hostile environment. The situation was further complicated by adverse weather and the requirement for a nighttime extraction, necessitating the use of night vision goggles to ensure safe navigation and landing. Despite these formidable obstacles, the mission was executed with flawless precision. The total flight time was 3 hours and 50 minutes, during which the crew demonstrated exceptional professionalism and resilience. Thanks to the swift coordination between the aircrew and ground support teams, all 3 casualties were safely evacuated and transported to Brea for further medical treatment.
Sri Lankan Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya has issued a powerful call to action for Sri Lanka to embrace innovation as a central pillar of national development, warning that the country's failure to prioritize innovation has contributed to its economic decline. She made these remarks while speaking at an event in Colombo.
The Serendipity Knowledge Program on Innovation for Economic Transformation, organized by the Asian Development Bank, took place in Colombo. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister reflected on Sri Lanka's historical position as a regional leader in development, noting that in the 1960s, Sri Lanka's economy was ahead of South Korea's and admired by leaders such as Singapore's Lee Kuan Yew.
In line with the rethinking of the state as having an entrepreneurial role in the economy, the government is committed to setting the policy direction, partnering effectively with the private sector, and promoting innovation by active involvement throughout the innovation chain. To understand the daunting task before us, we need to understand our starting point and where we failed in our achievements compared with our peers. Sri Lanka once stood as a beacon of development in Sri Lanka. In the early years following independence, and this is a well-known story amongst most of us, we were admired across the region. Former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore famously expressed his hope that his country might one day emulate Sri Lanka. In the 1960s, our economy was ahead of South Korea's. Yet, today the tables have turned, and how they have turned. Singapore and Korea have achieved development country status, while Sri Lanka briefly reached upper middle income status in 2019, only to fall back in 2020 amid an unprecedented economic crisis exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. There are many contributory factors to this reversal, but one stands out clearly. Our society has not prioritized innovation. To me, innovation is not a luxury. It is the catalyst for meaningful transformation in Sri Lanka. Innovation is not confined to technology. It's not such a narrow definition. It's not such a narrow focus. It is about reimagining how we live, work, and govern. We must cultivate a culture of innovation that is ethical, inclusive, and sustainable. One that improves lives, reduces inequality, and drives inclusive growth. Innovation must also align with climate resilience and sustainable development through green technologies, renewable energy, and the circular economy. Despite years of discussion, however, innovation has not been treated as a fundamental driver of change. This must change now. Innovation is essential for Sri Lanka's survival and prosperity in a rapidly evolving global landscape. It is the key to overcoming our economic crisis and escaping the middle income trap.
Takafumi Kadano, ADB's country director for Sri Lanka, praised the government's wide-ranging reforms in response to the economic crisis and the public's demand for better governance and economic opportunity.
Sri Lanka, as you know, is at a transformative moment in its history, underpinned by economic and political shifts in response to the economic crisis and a compelling ask by the people for changes to economic dispensation and governance. The government has undertaken deep and wide-ranging reforms across the economy to deliver on these expectations and to forge a new, resilient economic pathway as the economy continues to stabilize and recover. ADB continues to be a partner to the government in this endeavor and to explore creative, non-traditional ways to unlock the country's potential to move forward in this new economic journey. High-value production and services facilitate access to global and regional value chains in diverse markets, create better jobs, change economic structures, and improve living standards. For developing countries such as Sri Lanka, building national innovation systems to support purposeful innovation is a key factor in transforming their economies. The triple helix model is widely discussed in innovative literature and emphasizes the collaboration between the government, academia, and industry in driving innovation. Today's discussions will focus on all actors in the innovation chain with a special focus on the government and academia.
Far from the city noise, under a mango tree, children turn broken desks into a stage. They sing, they dance, they try. No bright lights, no big crowds, just a small school and big dreams. Change is coming. An open-air stage for the Kattaragama Primary School. Gammatta, for the people, by the people.
Continuing in more local news, meetings to elect chairpersons for several local government bodies were held today as well.
The National People's Power successfully gained control of the Dodangada Pradeshiya Sabha today. Despite winning only 12 seats in the recent local government elections compared to 13 seats held by other parties, NPP candidate Niluka Kaviratma won the chairmanship with 14 votes in a secret ballot. The Samagi Janabalawegaya claimed that their allied group, the Sarva Janabalaya, betrayed them during the vote.
The party symbol must be changed. Dilith Jayavira told us that both of his candidates would vote for our side. But when it came time to vote, that decision was reversed. I don't believe Dilith is the real leader of that alliance. The actual leader is Roshan Rana Singha, who is currently overseas. Roshan has the authority to override Dilith's decisions. This isn't just a symbol anymore. It's clearly a separate political party. From today onwards, we will no longer associate with them. I proposed this to our party leader and he accepted it. Despite all the discussions we had, they betrayed us at the final moment.
Kantale Pradeshiya Sabha convened today to elect the chairperson and deputy chairperson. During the session, the National People's Power requested a secret ballot, while the Samagi Janabalawegaya and other parties called for an open vote. In this council, the NPP holds 10 seats, SJB holds 6, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna holds 2, and the United National Party, Sri Lanka Freedom Party and Sri Lanka Muslim Congress each hold 1 seat. A secret ballot was held to decide the voting method. It received 12 votes in favour and 9 against. Subsequently, in the secret ballot to elect the chairperson, the NPP candidate received 12 votes, while the SJB candidate received 9. Meanwhile, when it came to electing the deputy chairperson, 11 opposition members, including those from the SJB, walked out of the council, insisting that the vote be held openly. Meanwhile, outside the Kantale Pradeshiya Sabha, a candidate from the Samagi Janabalawegaya and a group of his supporters staged a protest. They claimed that despite receiving the highest number of preferential votes, he was not granted a list member position. This reaction came after a candidate lost a vote for chairperson and exited the council. walkout by the opposition members, the council lost its quorum. Although the session was adjourned for 15 minutes and reconvened, the quorum was still not met. As a result, the vote for deputy chairperson was postponed indefinitely without a new date being set. Meanwhile, power in the Haputala Urban Council was established today by an independent group. The group, which holds 5 council seats, received support from 2 members of the Samagi Janabalawegaya. Upul Disanayaka, who was elected as chairman, became emotional during a media briefing. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna claims that internal conflicts within the Samagi Janabalawegaya are hindering efforts to establish opposition power in local government bodies.
We can't say that the weaknesses of party leaderships is their inability to make firm decisions and playing a role here, because we know that in our party, when MP Nama Rajapaksa says something, action is taken accordingly, and that decision is not changed later. But in the Samagi Janabalawegaya, there are divisions. Some members say support should be extended, while others insist there is no way they can align with Ranil. So there is internal conflict among them, and that too contributes to the current situation. This has allowed the government to strengthen its flawed processes and continue on this path.
Minister Sunil Handunethi commented on political alliances.
If you're asking how close the Samagi Janabalawegaya is to the Rajapaksas, let me tell you, there's no point talking about the Rajapaksas anymore. Their political relevance has collapsed. I want to know who in the SJB decided to align with the SLPP. Was it a decision made by the executive committee? Back then, the SGB told the people to vote for Sajith Premadasa to become president and promised a corruption-free government with accountability. But now, when we bring reports to Parliament to enforce the law and deliver justice, there's silence. Look around today. Only the chief opposition whip and MP Ajit are here. No one else. What is there to talk about? What can we say about Namal Baby or Mahinda Rajapaksa's cabinet papers that Basil Rajapaksa pushed forward? No one dares to speak. There isn't a single SJB MP with the courage to criticize a member of the SLPP. That's how compromised they've become. They've formed an alliance that undermines our own. We don't have a formal coalition. Independent MPs have supported us based on conscience, and in every council where they've backed us, we hold the majority, had the majority as a single party. If not, we wouldn't be here. What exactly does the SJB want? Had they even decided on a presidential candidate? No, they can't unite. One moment it's Namal, the next it's Sajith. What kind of unity is that? This isn't politics, it's a garbage heap. They're digging through trash looking for scraps.
Peanut cultivation on previously uncultivated lands in the Kilinoche district commenced today under the patronage of Minister of Agriculture, Keli Lalkantha.
The Ministry of Agriculture has so far identified over 68,000 acres of uncultivated paddy fields and more than 29,000 acres of other uncultivated agricultural land. In response, the national initiative Ekamitata Govi Bimata has been launched to restore cultivation on these lands. As part of this program, peanut cultivation on previously uncultivated lands in Thiruvayyaro in Kilinoche district was officially launched today.
Today, we launched the peanut cultivation project here, and just a few days ago, we initiated the cultivation of over 24 acres of maize in Kantale under the Ekamitata Govi Bimata program. We have successfully addressed the price concerns faced by paddy farmers last month, and the issue of maize has also been fully resolved. We assure our farmers that a reliable market will be provided for their produce, whether it's peanuts, maize or any other crop.
Senior journalist Namini Vijayadasa, who was recently honored as an International Woman of Courage, was felicitated by the South Asian Women in Media Sri Lanka chapter.
Namini Vijayadasa was the only journalist among those who received the International Woman of Courage Award this year. Currently serving as Deputy Editor Investigations at the Sunday Times, Namini is widely respected for her investigative journalism, particularly her exposés on corruption, abuse of power and issues affecting governance and accountability. Her work has earned her both national acclaim and international recognition, inspiring a new generation of journalists dedicated to truth and public service. The felicitation ceremony was held at the Sri Lanka Press Institute on the 18th of June. The highlight of the evening was an engaging conversation reflecting on her career, challenges and the evolving landscape of journalism, which was moderated by senior journalist, media trainer and SAWM trustee Dilrukshi Handunethi. At the event, Namini was celebrated not only for her journalistic achievements but also for her role as a mentor and a role model for women in media. The welcome address at the event was made by Shamini Boyle, and Namini received a token of recognition that was presented by senior editor Hana Ibrahim. The vote of thanks was made by Krishni Ifham.
The first test between hosts Sri Lanka and Bangladesh continued into its third day today at the Galle International Cricket Stadium, with Sri Lanka battling to close the gap after Bangladesh's dominant first innings. At stumps on day 3, Sri Lanka stood at 368 for 4, trailing Bangladesh's first innings total of 495 all out.
Opening the innings, Pathum Nisanka and Lahiru Udara put on a solid 47-run partnership for the first wicket. Udara contributed 29 runs before being dismissed. Nisanka then built a commanding 157-run stand with Dinesh Chandimal for the second wicket. Chandimal added a valuable 54 runs to the scoreboard. Veteran Angelo Matthews, playing in his final test match, joined Nisanka and added 89 runs for the fourth wicket. Matthews scored 39 in what could be his farewell innings. The star of the day was undoubtedly Pathum Nisanka, who scored a magnificent 187, marking his third Test century. His innings included 23 fours and 4 sixers, anchoring Sri Lanka's response and keeping hopes alive for a strong comeback. With 2 days remaining, Sri Lanka will look to build on this momentum and push for a competitive total as the match heads into a crucial phase.
LG Banks have officially decided to open a branch office in Colombo, marking a new milestone in their long-standing partnership. The launch event, attended by senior delegates from both companies, showcased the strength of the LG Banks alliance and their shared vision for innovation and growth in Sri Lanka's consumer electronics market. A highlight of the event was the unveiling of several new AI-powered products, reflecting the company's commitment to integrating cutting-edge technology into everyday living. The launch of the Siambalaga's Web Forest and Surrounding Landscape Restoration Project as part of HSBC's Climate Smart Opportunities through Restoration and Education project took place in Colombo.
It brings education to land management, brings education to cattle management, directly impacts 26 families in the Anuradhapura area who are now all going to be beneficiaries of this new knowledge. And I say the word knowledge importantly. It's not that they've been given something new or something expensive. It's a set of skills and capabilities, knowledge, which helps them build something sustainably for the future. We have learned a lot from it.
Core project commenced in 2021 to address both climate change and poverty issues through degraded land restoration and education.
And with that, we'll wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.